I would have taken that to my grave, honey. First of all, I wouldn't have been sleeping with my son's pupils and friends at all, okay? But the fact that, like, that happened at all, I would not have said anything. What is up, you guys? Welcome back to the channel. It's your girl JD here, back with another video. So today we are finally going to be talking about the newest show over on TLC, Milf Manor. I find it interesting, the premise of the show we're going to get into, and then also with TLC being the network that the show is on. It's quite fascinating to me how TLC keeps pumping out all of these TV shows, and more specifically reality TV shows, that just seem to be just crazier and crazier as they keep coming out. It's like every show, it's like they're competing with each other. How crazy can we get with these shows? You know what I mean? And I feel this one definitely takes the cake, okay? And I'm gonna tell you why. So here's the premise of Milf Manor. Basically, we have these women. They're all, I think, bare minimum, late 40s and above, okay, in terms of age. And they are all moms, hence the name. They're basically coming to find love on this show. It's a dating show, and they're hoping to find a younger man. So there's about 8 women on the cast. All of them, like I said, are moms. And I say that again because it's very much so connected to the next part of what I'm going to say. They come on the show, they of course interact with each other, introduce themselves, and then we find out, stick with me here, we find out that their sons are also on the show, and they're all going to be dating each other, okay? And just to clarify, not the mom and the son. They're not going to be dating each other. That would be very, very weird, okay? No. Obviously, these moms are going to be interacting with the other mom's sons and vice versa, okay? So it's very fascinating how this is going to work out throughout the season. So I've only watched a couple of episodes so far. I think they put out about 6 or 7 episodes. I just finished binge watching the very last one that they have out. It's been going. I don't even know why this is a thing and who came up with the idea. Like, how do you present that idea in the meeting, the group meeting, and you're just like, here's my pitch. You know, they're gonna date each other, mother and son. They're just gonna be a tag team, and they're gonna be helping each other date. That's not weird at all. Not weird in the slightest. So I'm just gonna introduce the moms and the sons. So we have Kelly, who's 51, and her son Joey, who is 20. Then we have Shannon, who's 51, and her son Ryan, who's 30. Stephanie, 47, her son Billy, 28. Then you have So Young, 51, and Jimmy is 26, her son. We have April, she's 60. I think April is probably the oldest one on this show, actually. She's 60, and then her son Gabriel is 23. And I'm not gonna lie, Gabriel, he struck me as a little bit immature, but I'm gonna go into why. I feel all of them really, actually I take that back, not all of them. Some of them are really immature, but I'm gonna go into why. But we have Paula, who is 48. Jose, her son, is 28. Charlene is 46. And also her son Harrison, who is 23. April, who's 44, and her son Ricky, who is 26. So far, the only mother and son duo that has gotten booted off is April and Ricky, and it seems as though whoever makes the least connections and, like, I guess is trying the least to connect with other people, they tend to get booted, okay? So it sounds like a bunch of other shows that we've heard of before. Okay, obviously. But clearly it's going to be a little more weird when you're on a dating show with your mom, you know? And she's also trying to date other men that's around your age in their 20s. It's very odd, but it is what it is. So now that we got the weird part out of the way, I'm just gonna pretend as though this is a regular dating show for my sake, so that I'm not weirded out enough to not talk about it. So let's talk about these episodes, okay? So like I said, I do feel like some of these boys are quite immature, obviously, because of how old they are. I feel like the men that were in their later part of their 20s seem to be a little bit more mature, like Jose. Also Ryan, to some extent. He's 30, so I did get that vibe that he was kind of ready to settle down. However, I do think, again, he should just find someone his age. I feel like these older women are just here to play games. It is a dating show, you know? One of the guys, though, Billy, I think that was Stephanie's son, he did seem very withdrawn from the whole thing. He didn't really seem like he had much game. I'm just going to be honest. But I'm going to go into some of the challenges, just weird challenges of that they have to take part in. So one of them that I remember clear as day is when they had to share secrets about each other. And let's just say it ended in So Young pretty much sharing with her son Jimmy that she had slept with his friend. And I believe it was his best friend at that. And I was like, ew. I don't know why you would share that, number one. And then number two, in front of a group of strangers, like people you just met a couple of days ago. You know what I mean? It's like, that's really weird. I would have taken that to my grave, honey. First of all, I wouldn't have been sleeping with my son's pupils and friends at all, okay? But the fact that like that happened at all, I would not have said anything. So she could have said any other secret. I don't know why she said that as if it was like a badge of honor. It was very strange. That ended really awkwardly, and clearly they now have a interesting rift in their relationship, because it was like, how is this okay? You know what I mean? I would not be okay with my parents sleeping with one of my friends. It's like, ooh, no, ugh. Like, I might throw up in my mouth a little bit. In terms of the moms, right? I think that Kelly is very intense. I do think that she is enjoying this a little too much. And I think her and the boys, okay, because they really are kind of boys, a good bit of them anyway, they act like it. She's just having the time of her life, okay? One of the first dudes or guys that were there that she kind of had a connection with was Jose. And it seemed like everybody had a connection with Jose. And it seemed like Jose had a connection with everybody after we keep watching throughout the episodes. And it's just kind of like, I'm gonna need y'all to like pick. You know what I'm saying? Jose need to pick. It's getting around that time. But Kelly, at one point, she had some issues with Paula, you know, Jose's mom, speaking Spanish around her. And she's just like, I feel as though you talking about me. And that became a huge thing. And it was like, I don't know why this is a problem. If she wants to speak Spanish, she can speak Spanish. It's very strange. If she wants to talk about you even in Spanish, she can do that. You know, it was very weird. And then, of course, Jose kind of took wind of that, and he just kind of separated himself a little bit from Kelly for a while. And then he started dipping and dabbling with like other people, like So Young, and then also Shannon. And everyone was just liking him because he had this kind of like semi deepness about him, and he seemed a little more mature than the others, you know? So Kelly just seemed like a little too all over the place, and I don't think she's a stable one in terms of any type of relationship, but I do feel like overall that age gap in a relationship, it just might lead to its downfall anyway. I don't think it really matters in terms of you feeling as though you're young. I think that would only last for so long. You could have a young spirit and be into doing really fun out there activities. However, I still feel as though that age gap, it's going to weigh on you guys if that's something you're considering pursuing in a relationship. Kelly's son, Joey, I'm not gonna lie, is super awkward. He's clearly very young. He's only 20, and it definitely shows whenever he has to interact with people. I can't remember who he was talking to. I think it was Stephanie, or I don't remember. I think it was Stephanie or Paula. Paula. I don't know. But anyways, I think it was one of them. And you could clearly see that he had no real experience with women. He was just saying whatever came to his mind that sounded good. And it was just really cringy. But we're going to move on. Shannon, like I said, she has a little bit of a connection with Jose, but she's a little bit more reserved. And then also her son, Ryan, who's 30. He had formed a little bit of a connection with Stephanie at one point, but then because Stephanie was kind of talking to, what was his name, Gabriel a little bit, he started to feel a ways, because in one breath Stephanie would be like, oh, I don't really mess with him like that, talking about Gabriel, and then it's going to turn around and have him like laying up on him and all that type of stuff. And then of course you have April, Gabriel's mom, who's just sensing the tension between Gabriel, her son, and Ryan, and she's just trying to go to bat for him. And it was just like weird. I'm like, you're on a dating show. Like, this happens, you know what I mean? But I do think it's kind of weird that Ryan decides to handle that situation between him and Stephanie about Gabriel with his mom present. Shannon was sitting there and she's just trying to have a conversation about her son's dating life with the woman and him present, and it's just weird. I'm like, why are you getting into your son's business? And also, Ryan, why do you have your mom there to basically facilitate the conversation with you? It's just it seems very immature to me. I was weirded out by that one. Moving on, we have, of course, Paula and Jose. I feel like they have a very, well, I shouldn't say they. I feel like Paula has a very much so a little too reliant type of relationship with Jose. It seems like she really should just date a guy just like Jose. You know, like not date her son, but she clearly is very much so obsessed. But then eventually, I think after a while, she starts to let go a little bit and kind of release the claws to let him do what he needs to do and figure himself out. But yeah, it was very strange. And then also So Young and Jimmy, now they have that interesting relationship because clearly So Young, she decides to tell him that she slept with his friend. So it's just very strange, that dynamic. And then also, like I said, Billy is Stephanie's son. And I think Billy is also another awkward one. Even though he seems a little more mature, I think at one point he was trying to date Kelly, and you know, they had this little makeout session, but I think eventually they went glamping and that didn't end well. So Kelly was just kind of throwing all caution to the wind by basically hanging out with all the other boys, okay, or young men. Let's say young men. And she eventually, you know, kind of disappears with Jose for a little bit. And, you know, the other girls kind of feel a ways about that, but especially Shannon. So it's very interesting watching how everything's playing out and who's getting interested in who. So Kelly right now is interested in Jose. And also, I'm just gonna say Paula. Paula seems to be interested in both Ryan and also, what's his name? I keep forgetting. Jimmy. Yeah, Jimmy. So Young's son. And I think April, who is April interested in? I can't remember. I think it might be Kelly's son. Yep. I think it might be her son, Joey. But it seems like everyone's just hooked on Jose at the moment. But there is a little bit of something that goes down between Gabriel and Ryan. And Gabriel, in my opinion, definitely is not my type. You know, he just seems very, very young. Very young. And I think he might also be bisexual. I'm not sure, because he talked about during the challenge where they had to share their secrets, he talked about sleeping with a dude, I think. Correct me if I'm wrong. So I don't know, he might be bi. He's definitely not really my type for sure. But you like what you like, go ahead. So another challenge that comes about is basically the guys have to figure out what certain parts are on the down there for the lady. A lot of the guys didn't really know what parts were what and how to pleasure a woman. It was very odd in the first place doing that in front of each other's moms, but yeah, it was very interesting to see how a lot of them did not know much about the female anatomy. And one of the moms, I'm trying to remember her name, I have to keep looking at the list because I can't remember, but Charlene I think is one of the youngest moms. And she seemed very much so into it, like a little too into it and a little too aggressive. I think Jimmy actually went on a date with her at one point during the episodes or most recent one, and he just felt like she was a little too forceful and a little too aggressive. And I'm wondering if that's kind of like her mechanism of trying to cover the fact that she's not really confident in herself, because from the jump, when the moms meet each other before they find out that, you know, their sons are going to be there with them, she had said that she was kind of like a disadvantage when it came to the competition, and she didn't really feel like she had what it takes to like get picked or get noticed or something like that. And it was like, why would you already be thinking that? You know what I mean? It's just, it seems very like you don't have confidence in yourself. I think that's her way of kind of covering up the fact that she doesn't have confidence. And then we also see that her son Harrison doesn't really match up with anybody, so he just leaves after a while. That's kind of where I am in terms of the episodes. Eventually they do bring another mom and son in, but I can't remember their names at the moment. But it's kind of like Too Hot to Handle and all the other shows that we've seen already on MTV and Netflix and stuff like that, where they would boot people off and then bring other people in to kind of shake things up a bit. So it does seem like the new son is interested in Charlene, but I really am trying to figure out where this is going to be going, because if we're going to be honest, most of these shows, they really are very scripted, and they hardly ever come, like, this, nothing really ever comes from it, you know, in terms of an actual relationship. And if it does, they usually don't last long at all. So I don't really get invested in these, but it is very interesting, the premise, the fact that you are trying to find love not only with an older woman, but you have to do it with your mom there. You know what I'm saying? It's just kind of like, this is cringy. Paula, I think she saw that Kelly was trying to go on a date with Jose one time, and she was getting mad. Like, I don't want her to go on a date with him. Like, she's not his type. And she kept saying that. She keeps saying that throughout the last couple of episodes. And I'm just like, girl, this boy is going to do whatever the heck he wants. Like, just let him go. You know what I mean? She's trying so hard to like keep tight on the reins, and she was trying to, I guess, shove him in the direction of Shannon. But I feel like Shannon is a little bit more on the quiet side, and I think for you to have two quiet people in a relationship, it might not work out. But look at me, I'm getting invested still. It's just like, I still don't think these relationships are ever going to go anywhere, because again, you got that age gap. Don't get me wrong, it works sometimes, but the majority of the time it doesn't. So it's like, what are we doing here? But it's a very interesting show, very cringe at some points, especially because of the younger guys not really knowing much and not really having much experience trying to interact with much older women that have clearly had experiences with men, and they want people or men that are very experienced. And I think that's another thing that's very interesting to me. It's like, how do you want a younger guy, but yet you want him to have the experience of a much older one? It's just like, it seems like you're conflicted within yourself, you know? Y'all let me know your thoughts on this show thus far. I'll try to come back after we have a couple more episodes in, and I'll see where it goes. We'll talk about it then. But y'all let me know your thoughts down in the comments. I'll catch you on the next video. Peace.